Hello learners, welcome to C Programming tutorial series. Here, I Kirti Sharma as an assistant professor in St. Andrews Institute of Technologies and Management, Gurugram. I came with the open-ended opportunities for the learners to get the basics to advanced knowledge about the C programming language. There is no any prerequisites needed to understand this course, so you are free to understand the course. But however, mathematical maturity at the level of undergraduate is assumed here. And one more important thing that is important here, your presence with the mindset to learn something new. So in this video series, we will cover all the aspects from basic to advanced, in which we will see what all we can do while working with a programming language called C, that is C programming language. So in today's today's lecture, we will cover the basics of programming language. In today's, why we need any programming language. So first thing that comes in our mind is to solve our real life problems. So programming language helps in solving our real life problem. Yes, it's true. So to solve the problem, it may possible there are lots of problems in our real life. It may possible some can be solved with the help of programming language, some may not. Yes, it's true. It's also true. So to understand the thing, first natural question that should come in our mind, what kind of problem could be there that can be solved with the help of programming language? So answer is very simple. The problems which can be solved in a which can be defined in a finite number of steps, then it is possible to solve that problems. If there is no any finite steps to solve any problem, then it cannot be solved with the help of programming language. Okay, so for example, if you have given a problem, then there should be some questions that should come in our mind. So first question should be there, what is an algorithmic approach or solution to solve that particular problem? Second question, how do we translate the algorithm into the C programming code? And after writing the C programming code, it is also important to know how efficient is that code. And last one, it is also important how maintainable is that code. Okay. So in this order, we have to analyze any problem and we have to find the solution for any problem with the help of any programming language. So to understand this thing, there is a beauty of programming. So what is the art of the programming? There are the four steps that we have already discussed. First thing, we have to discuss the algorithmic solution for any problem. After writing the algorithmic solution for any problem, then we need the syntax in which we are writing the problem. This is the syntax that belongs to a particular programming language. Like there are lots of programming languages, C, C++, Java, and lots of programming languages are there. So here we will discuss the syntax and structure of the C programming language. After writing the code with the help of C programming syntax and structure, we need to find out the complexity. What is the complexity for that particular language? So for that particular program that we have written in C program in the form of C program. So we have solved the problem with the help of programming language, but at last we have to find out the maintainability of that code. Is it okay? It should be in the readable form. Whatever we have written, it should be easy to understand and in readable form. So it is also important to maintain the code in a better manner. So in that manner, first we have to discuss the algorithm. After that we will continue the leftover steps. So algorithm, the word algorithm is related to the name of the mathematician. It is al-Khwarizmi, which means a processor or a technique. Basically, the software engineers commonly uses an algorithm for the purpose of planning and solving in order to solve any problem. So Basically, how can we define an algorithm? An algorithm is a sequence of steps to solve a particular problem, or we can say that algorithm is an ordered set of unambiguous steps that produces a result and terminates in a finite time. So here some characteristics of algorithms are there. On the basis of these two definitions, we can conclude these characteristics here. First thing, there should be some input. An algorithm, first thing is input. So in any algorithm there may or may not be any input, but there must be output. At least one output should be there. Input, it is possible there may or may not be any input, but it is mandatory to have at least one output should be there in any algorithm. And next thing, your algorithm should be definite. What it's mean, each the instruction that you will pass over the algorithm must be clear and unambiguous. There should not be any kind of dilemma in understanding the steps or instruction that you have provided in the algorithm. Okay, and last but not least, it should be the finite. What it's mean, your algorithm should be finite. An algorithm consists of some finite steps of instructions. So the instruction that you have mentioned in the algorithm, during the execution, there should be the finite number of steps that you want to execute with the help of that algorithm. Okay, so in that manner we have some advantages also of algorithm. Of course there should be some advantages of the algorithm. That is the reason we are using the algorithmic approach as a solution to finding the as a solution to find the problem, to find the exact solution for any problem. So there are some advantages here. First thing, it is a step-wise representation or solution of a given problem that makes easy to understand to the user. So it's very good thing about the algorithm. It's very clean and clear steps are mentioned in the as a solution for the problem, which makes it easy to understand, and it is the definite. So any algorithm that you have mentioned, any number of instruction in any algorithm, they are definite and finite. So it's a very good thing about the algorithm. It is algorithm is not independent any programming language. It is independent through any programming language. That is the reason as a beginner we have to understand the approach of algorithm. If we are able to find the logical approach in order to solve any problem, then it will become easy to put this logical approach in the programming language structure. So it is important for the beginners to understand the concept of the algorithms and how to use these algorithms step by step in order to understand, in order to solve any problem. So after getting the algorithmic approach, we can directly put that logic into the structure of any programming language. Then it will become easy to understand. Okay, so that is the reason our first step should be to understand the algorithm of any problem. Then last one is, every step that we have written in the algorithm, it's user based, totally depends on the logics of the user. Whatever he want to put, whatever the logic he want to put, he or she want to put to solve that particular problem, free, he or she is free to attempt that put. Okay, so what it's mean, it may possible for a problem there may be one or more solution could exist there. Okay, so it is not mandatory for any problem there must be a single approach to solve it. No, it depends on the logical mind of the user. It may possible there are lots of solution, there are many solution can be possible for a single problem. So it's free of, it's free, it depends on our logical approach to find out the solution of any problem. So let's take some steps how we can write the algorithm. Step 1, first there should be any algorithmic input should be there. So first define the input, then after you have to define the variables in order to execute these inputs. Okay, so what it's mean exactly, it means that, it means that you have some you have to define some inputs in any algorithm first. If you are able to define the inputs, you're taking some inputs. Inputs could be in the form of data also. So for example, to calculate the area of rectangle, input may be the height and width of the rectangle, right? Next step, there should be some variables. What it's mean in algorithm, in any algorithm, variables allows you to use it for more than one time, or for more than one place in. So what it's mean, we can define two variables, as we have taken the example to calculate the area of the rectangle. So we have taken the two variables like height and width of the rectangle, right? So we we should use some meaningful variable names instead of using like h for height and w for the width. Instead we can use it, but we have to take the appropriate variable names. Like we have taken the two variables. First one, we have taken the height, and second is we have taken the width, in order to get the area as a resultant of any rectangle, right? So these are the input variables, and this one is the output variable to get the resultant. So instead of taking the h, w as the variable name, there should be the meaningful name. It will be easy to understand for the users. Okay, I hope it is clear for everyone. So third step is outline the algorithm's operations. So in this step, you have to use the input variables for computation purpose. Like to find the area, you have to multiply the height and width, right? So to find the area, you have to find the, like I'm taking here an example, it will make easy to understand you. Area is any variable, then we have to take the height variable we have already taken, and width variable we have already taken. Now in this third step, we have to apply the operation, multiplication operation, in order to get the resultant value area here. So we have applied here the algorithmic operations. After that, some output will be there. Whatever will be the output here, it will comes under the variable name area. For example, I am taking the value here height under the height variable and 2 under the width variable. So area will be 10. That will be as the output or the result of that algorithmic approach. Okay, so these are the steps that you can use to understand the algorithms in a better way. So I hope now you can apply these steps in any example or in any problem. Okay, so for example, if you have any let's take any example to understand it in better way. Let's take any example. So let's take an example. You have to add the two numbers, right? You have to find the sum of two numbers. First step, you have to start with any, this is your starting point. Let's assume in, you can write any language here. Like we know the English language, so we can write here in steps in the English language. There is no any prerequisite of any programming language that you have to use. This is mandatory to use. It is mandatory to use in during while writing the algorithm. It is not mandatory actually, so you can write in your own language here. Okay, so step 1, and as we are, this is the starting, considering it as the starting point. Next step, you have to take the first number, say a is that number. Okay, next, in the next step, you have to take the another number. Of course, to find the sum of two numbers, you need the two variables, and in the third variable sum, you are doing the addition and storing the value, resultant value, in the sum variable, and at last you are displaying the value of the sum on the screen, and last you have to stop. Of course, you have, if you are starting, then you have to stop. There should be the finiteness in any algorithm, as we have already stated that the algorithm should be finite. So number of steps that you are writing, it should be the finite number of steps. Okay, so it is possible, if you are able to write any algorithm for any problem, if you are able to write any algorithm for any problem, then it is also possible to write the program to design the structure of coding for that particular problem. And if you are not able to write the step-by-step algorithm to solve any particular problem, then it may also not possible to write the C program to programming language or programming code to solve that particular problem. So I hope it is clear. As earlier I have mentioned that there are in our real life problems, there are some lots of the problems that can be solved with the help of programming language, but some could be there which cannot be, right? So for which we are able to write the algorithm step by step. For those particular problems we are able to write the C programming code also. I hope it is clear. In the next example that we have, you have to sum 20 numbers. In previous one we have added the two numbers. It was easy. By taking the two variables we were adding the two values and we are getting the resultant value. What if we have the 20 numbers, and it may possible we have the 100 values, 1000 values. So it will become difficult to take the each and every variable separately, individually, and add them. So to make it easy, we have taken a sum variable here that we have initialized with a 0, and for the 20 numbers, if we are taking the example as for the sum of 20 numbers, for the 20 numbers we are doing some repeated task here. We have to take the number and we have to add that number in the current value of the sum. For example, the current value of sum is 0. The first value of that number I am putting here 2. So what it's mean, 0 is the sum value current and we are adding that value into the sum value, the value of number what we will get here 2, and this 2 will store where, in the sum variable. Okay, here it will store. Okay, so what it's mean, in the next time whenever you come for here for the next number, like next variable value, next num value is 4, so we are adding that particular value 4 in the current value of sum. What is the current value of sum is 2. Now what is the resultant value? 6. Now again it will update it with 6. Now what is the value of sum? 6. And this procedure will repeat a number of times. Whatever the value of whatever the number of numbers are given here, it could be 20, 100, 1000, or but it should be the finite numbers. Okay, it cannot execute for the infinite number. Okay, so at the last whatever you will get at the resultant, it will display here. Okay, I hope you are getting this point. And the next thing that we need to understand is the programming. So what do you mean by programming exactly? After understanding the concept of algorithm, there is a need to understand about the programming. We have some practice questions, more practice questions for the algorithm that you can do practice. I will share it to you at the last of the lecture, and you can solve them yourself. If you have any doubt, then we can discuss it later, whether with the help of any Google Meet, with the help of Google Meet platform, or WhatsApp or any other platform. Okay, so we will discuss the problems if you have any during solving the assignment task. Okay, regarding the algorithms. So it is important, as I've already mentioned, to practice the algorithm. That is the initial step for the beginner to understand the programming language. So make sure you will do the practice as I have mentioned in the last of the lecture, as I will mention it. Okay, so you have to practice it. So what is the programming? It is a set of instructions to be provided to a computer. Here computer is an electronic device, and an electronic device get understand the zeros and ones form. Okay, so an set of instruction we are providing here to the an electronic device, that is your computer, in order to solve a problem. It's all about the programming. Okay, so that emerges are needed here of translator. Why? Because computer knows the zeros ones format language, and user as a human being knows the standard language like English, Hindi, or any other language that may possible. Okay, but there is, if any human want to communicate with the machine, if I'm talking about the machine, then it is a computer, then there should be a translator. Because if there are two persons, one knows Hindi and one knows English, and they don't know the each other's language, like one person A who knows English, he don't know about the Hindi language, but the person B who knows Hindi language, he don't know about the English language. It is not possible to establish communication between those kind of persons. So in this phase, we need, if it is compulsory, it is mandatory to communicate between those two A and B persons. They want to communicate, they have to interchange the information, they have to exchange some information. So in that, for that task, they need some translator. Okay, there is a third person who will work as a translator and who will approach these both the persons. If he will say in English something, then he will translate it in Hindi, and if he will say in Hindi, it will translate it in English. Okay, he will translate it in English. So this was all about the human conversation, or to establish the communication in between the humans. Same thing applied here in between humans and machines or computers. If human are getting the standard language communication and machines are getting the zero ones, there is a need of translator. So there are lots of translators that may possible here to understand the things that we will discuss later. Before discussing these things, we need to know about the steps to be followed to solve a problem that we have already started, that is algorithm, that we have already discussed. Now the question is that how we can express the algorithms. Okay, so there are the two ways to express the algorithm. First one with the help of flowchart, and the second one with the help of pseudocode. Okay, as we already know about, the algorithm is a sequence of steps to be followed to solve a problem, right? So to express the algorithm, there are two things: flowcharts and pseudocode. Flowchart is showing the diagrammatically representation, and pseudocode is representing is expressing with the help of English like languages. So language could be anything else, anyone, any language could be there. So standard, we are taking here as a standard language English language. Okay, so we will understand these two approaches to express an algorithm one by one in the next lecture. Okay, so there are some text and reference books that you can follow, like first thing, that first book that I mentioned here, C Programming, is a Kanin and Cruce. This book is the standard book that you can follow, and for the practice purpose you can follow the Lattice C by the Yashwant Kantekar. There are the lots of practice problem that you can do with the help of this book. And if you don't have those two books, then you can follow any of the C programming books, but it should be relevant. Okay, so it's up to you. Content should be clear to you. It doesn't matter you are following which book. Okay, it should be relevant with your topics. Okay, so there are some practice problems that you will have to discuss as an assignment I am giving to you. So you solve these problems. If you have any doubt, then we will discuss later. Okay, there are some algorithms problems that you have to write yourself. Okay, these are the problems. And at last, I'm sharing here some important question from exam point of view. There is a question that becomes that I mentioned here. So also try to write the answer of that particular question in your notebook, in order it will help you out in preparation of the final exams. So just write this question separately, and it will help you in one by one. After concluding the each and every topic, you will get the extract. Important questions will be there that you have to study at the last. It will be the summary, as a summary of the throughout the course. Okay, so you have to note it down separately and make sure you are giving the answers also for these questions that I am giving you as an assignment. Okay, so in next lecture we will continue with the flowchart and types of softwares, translators and compilers. So stay tuned. Thank you. Have a nice day.